Good afternoon, this is Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and I bring you all my ban list discussion 2023 prediction video for, of course, March. And let's just go straight into this. So, first things first, ban cards. I have several in mind, but honestly, this format is actually a lot more healthier than the previous format. Thank God for that. With the death of tier elements, which by the way, is still a crazy deck. Expect a deck profile on that sooner or later. But with the death of tier elements, Kashtira, Brandon, and all the other decks are a lot more fair this time around. So, even though Kashtira still locks you out of the game, there's definitely less toxic stuff, if that makes any sense. I'm not milling 20, I'm just losing all my zones. Difference, like a Book of Eclipse stuff, whatever. There's obviously cards that need to be hit. And let's talk about them. The two most toxic cards this format gotta be, well, there's three actually. First things first, I would say we gotta kill it. We gotta kill Diabolos. Diabolos, the Mind Hacker, is one of the most stupid cards that was ever printed from Konami. I always loved this card in Dark Magician before Kashtira came out, just because it's such a unique ass card. But now Kashtira is like using it to lock like 12, like 4 or 5 zones, and is like ripping apart your entire extra deck. I hate this card. Oh, it's also banishing your main deck, so you're just all your 1-ofs are just getting banished. Everything about this card is unfair as hell, and it's not fun to go against. I don't care. It's very Nibiru, like it can get nibbed pretty easily. I don't give a shit. This card's stupid and it needs to go. I don't care. If I don't draw the out and he does his full fucking combo, I'm losing all my zones, my whole extra deck, and 10 of my cards in my main deck are just getting banished. With all he has a full Macrocosmos and board on field. I think that's very unfair. So I think banning Mind Hacker is a very fair trade for Kashtira, especially since I don't think Kashtira right now deserves the Massacre ban list that Tier Elements did. Like in the OCG, they immediately put Fenrir and Unicorn to 1. I disagree with that. I feel like this deck's still too new. Putting Unicorn and Fenrir to 1 literally was just like, hey, we're just going to kill you and put you out in the shed right now, when the biggest issue is Mind Hacker. If they didn't hit Mind Hacker, they should have just hit this card. I feel like Fenrir and Unicorn can still stay at 3. That's just my personal opinion. As for other cards that need to be banned, as my comments pointed out when I made the whole branded explosion video, we're getting a new branded card, a branded fusion monster, next set that does the exact thing that Branded Explosion does. So you're not even going to be playing this card next set. But all the nasty little floodgate monsters are still going to exist. So Gimmick Puppet Nightmare are still going to be played, even though Explosion is no longer needed for the combo, which is really, really bullshit. So I have to pull the trigger and ban all these cards. Every card that just like locks you into this mechanic needs to go, sadly. I know there's only 4 right now, but they'll probably find more. But these cards do need to get hit, sadly, just for the crimes of new cards. Sorry, I don't want to be getting public locked anymore. Alright, so now it's time to talk about the other card in the room. This card needed to be banned for the longest time. I'm surprised Konami hasn't touched this card. Dimensional Barrier. Get this card out of this format. Everything about this card is degenerate as hell. I don't care if it's a one-sided floodgate that wins you the game. I don't care. That's exactly why it needs to be banned. I don't care if Brandon's toxic. I don't care if Kashtira is toxic. This card shuts out too many decks. The fact that you just say you can no longer synchro summon against a synchro spam deck literally just costs them the game. You bid yourself a turn and then you murder them. This card is too broken. And that's just my personal opinion on that. I think like this card is just too good. And there's too many ways to abuse this card. And it has been abused. It's track trickable. So, yeah. I just think it needs to be banned. I don't think putting it to 1 is a good idea. Because then it's just a sacky 1-of you drew. And a track deck of all things. And, yeah. I know it's only seed in the side deck. But still. I just don't like this card. This card has never been healthy for the format. It's always been bannable. I don't care if it doesn't hit Link monsters. Who cares about that? Unless you're like literally, what's called the Code Talkers or any deck like that. You don't give a shit. But every other deck does. So this card needs to go. And yeah, good riddance. And that is it for the ban cards. So now let's discuss the limited cards that I have on the table.
Alright, so now it's time to discuss the limited list. So I actually have like 13 cards on here that I feel like should be limited, or at least in the discussion of limited lists. So I'm going to start this off with Splite Blue. Splite Blue is a really powerful card, and I feel like if we hit every other deck, if this is going to be a murder list, I don't think it is. This is more my wish list than it is a actual like list. I would love if Spite Blue went to 1. That would be the only hit for Spite I would have, technically. And I feel like that's a pretty understandable hit. If every deck is going to get murdered on this list, why not hit Spite Blue? I feel like it's the best consistency card. I don't want to hit the XYZ. I don't want to hit the Link 2. I feel like this is the right choice. This is my opinion. Next card, Runic Tip or Hugin. I didn't know exactly how I want to hit Runic. I know in the OCG they just put it at 2, the field spell. But I don't like hitting the field spell. The whole deck centers around that card. So hitting it to 2 or 1, I just feel like it's unfair to the pure Runic player. So personally, I would say either Tip goes to 1 or Hugin goes to 1. And the reason why I say Hugin is because Hugin's a level 2 for Sprite. Not to mention, it is the field spell searcher. So technically, by putting it to 1, it means that the Runic spells only have one way to get to the field spell. Like, you know how when you activate them, they just get to your field spell? That's the whole gimmick of the deck. Well, now they only have one. They can only do that once, which means their whole deck is not terraforming, if that makes any sense. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. Probably just limit Tip, I would say. But if you want to be interesting, I would say Hugin. Next card, I wanted to hit Labyrinth, but I didn't know what to hit for Labyrinth because it's the third best deck. I was going to say, just hit all the floodgates, but I guess Konami doesn't know what to make up its mind because we finally just got Skill Drain at 3, and they're already like, yep, put this thing to 1. It's too good. So I guess Skill Drain's going to 1 next list, even though like 2 lists ago it went to 3. Everyone was freaking out about it. It did nothing, and it's still kind of doing nothing in our format, so who knows? I guess if you really want to hit Labyrinth itself, you would hit Labyrinth. But I really just think that card's too new, and I think Labyrinth itself isn't the biggest issue deck. It's just all the floodgates they play, so I'd probably just hit a floodgate. As for Kashtira, because I know we hit Mind Hacker, I feel like we still got to hit a main deck monster, and that would be Fenrir. Out of all of them, Fenrir is the most broken one. Not only it's just a better Pankratops, but it also adds any Kashtira monster. Now, by limiting it to 1, it can't search itself, so it's less good in splashable decks. Because the biggest issue with Fenrir, of course, is a pure version of it, but in other archetypes, people are just playing it as a 3 of like removal card, and I feel like putting it down to 1 means they can't use that surge effect anymore, so it kind of hurts decks splashing it, which is helpful. Next card, Branded Fusion. If we're hitting other deck, we gotta hit Branded Fusion. Put that thing to 1. It's literally just insane. The fact that you just send material to grave from deck is absolutely stupid. Like, it's more stupid the more support they give us. I know next set's going to be the last of it, but we know Konami in like a year or 2 will give us some more. So, personally, I would say put Branded Fusion to 1 if you're trying to hurt the Fusion side of it, and focus on the Synchro side, because I guess it's now a Synchro deck. I'm not really sure how that's going to go, but we got to go from there. If we're hitting all these other decks, we got to hit Math Mech. I would say, out of all the cards, there's not really... Math Mech's a very, I would say, interesting linear deck. I don't want to hit Circular. I feel like that's the main hit. Everyone's like, Circular is such a good starter. You gotta hit Circular. It's the only thing that's making that deck good. I don't know. I'd be honest, I really wouldn't hit anything in Math Mech, but if I had to hit something, because every other deck's going lower, and Math Mech is like the 4th or 5th best deck, I would say Alan Bershin to 1, just so they can't just have a Alan Bershin line, and as follow-up, they do it the one time in their combo, and now they can't do it again, I would say. But who knows? Maybe Alan Bershin's not the right choice. Maybe it's like Signet Mining or Circular himself. But we have a small world, and I feel like the deck's already Circular is searchable enough. I don't think it's that big of an issue. As for Sword Soul, which is probably the 5th or 6th best deck, I would say Emergence. Just give it a consistency hit. I don't like hitting Long Young. I don't like hitting Moi. Blackout, same thing. I just feel like Emergence is just a consistency card. Put it to 1. That would nerf the deck, and we go from there. Another deck. Well, I guess other cards in general, because those are the decks that are really getting hit. These are just cards I just kind of went back. We know that for a fact that we're getting Dragon Tempest or Infernos, the Dragon Ruler of Infernos, and we're also getting Glow Bloom back. Thank God we're getting Glow Bloom back, my favorite tuner of all time. But there's other cards I want to discuss that weren't on the list. I want Majesty Kieran back. Why not? Give us our Majesty Boss Monster, you cowards. If you really think Pendulum is like shit, give us an actually like solid monster and we go from there. Metamorphosis, why not? It's a one-of non-searchable card that just cheats out a fusion, one fusion, and you have to tribute the level, or you have to send a monster with that level to the grave. Easier said than done for a one-of. It's kind of a -1, so why not just bring it back? I feel like it's just such an iconic card. Orcus Harpour, why not? Orcus ain't doing anything. Chaos Ruler's been banned, so that's not doing anything. And then, of course, just because I want Earth Deck or just a different attribute in the meta again, give us back Black Dragon the 1. I know Black Dragon's a degenerate card, don't get me wrong. Either give us Black Dragon back to 1 or make Earth Deck good again. I want Rocks to be meta again, damn it. We had like one format and then we got Black Dragon hit. I mean, we've never been in the format since. I don't want us to be the best deck, because let's be honest here, Adamantipator as a best deck is a very toxic deck. I just want Rocks or just an Earth, like Rock archetype to be meta again. It had one day in the sun, and everyone's like, no more Rock deck. And then now we've never had a Rock deck since, so I don't know. I know it's a stupid Dragon Ruler. I know it is. I know it shouldn't come back, but damn it, I want it to be back. I know it's like a +4. It's non-once per turn, but damn it. It's such a cool card. Come on, get it back, Konami. Alright, so now it's time to talk about the semi-limits. Alright, so now for the semi-limited list. I only have 3 cards here. Personally, I would add more, but everyone in the community just thinks that the semi-limited list should be abolished, which I disagree with. I like the semi-limited list, but hey, what can you do? I have 3 new cards. First things first. Let's put... we already know, right off the bat, Salamangreat Gazelle is going to 2. That's insane for Salamangreat. That's a great starter for them. I'm glad that card's going to 2. Another card that I feel like should be going to 2... Well, actually, before I say my piece, let me say the other card that we know for sure is going to 2, which is Spellbook of Judgment. That's for sure going to 2. There's no mistakes about that. That's going to 2. At least it is in the OCG. I wouldn't know why it wouldn't go to in the TCG. So those 2 are almost guaranteed for us. The third and final card that I personally want to go to 2 is Dragonic Diagram. Now you're probably thinking, why on God's green earth do I want Dragonic Diagram to go to 2? Well, personally, I'm a true Draco lover. I know all you all hate that deck. It's a Floodgate deck. It's the worst kind of deck in the Yu-Gi-Oh! But Draco hasn't done anything relevant in the last, 4 years. And let's be honest here, even if they get Diagram to 2, Labyrinth is just a better trap deck. They're just way better. They're just more consistent. They float better. Same thing with Eldritch. They're just more modern than the true Draco monsters. Now, I don't want Masterpiece back. I feel like Masterpiece would honestly be a bad thing. But I would think, if they're not going to give us Masterpiece, give us the damn Field Spell. And you're probably thinking, well, why was it hit in the first place? Well, 1, it hit True Draco. It hit their consistency, sending with Card Demise. Card Demise, I think, should stay at 1. That card is a little too busted. And exactly True Draco, it's just a draw 3. Really, really stupid card. Of course, you can't special summon, and that has its own end. So, to each their own. I think Card Demise should stay at 1. Even though I kind of want it back at 3. But, to each their own. True Draco Field Spell. Everyone's afraid of dinosaurs because of it. But with the new dinosaur support that we're getting, and the new release of Overlords, which could be True King support, it only makes sense to put Diagram back to 2. To my opinion. If that set has to do with True Kings, and that's what the Overlord means, then yes, I think True Draco should get their Field Spell back. I don't think it's that busted of a card. You have to destroy a True Draco card to add 1 to hand. That's all it does. I feel like, as a consistency boost to that deck that's already bad, give it that card. I don't think it would hurt it too bad. Anyway, that's my opinion. Alright, so now it's time to talk about what cards I want to go back to 3. I talked about the semi-list. I talked about the limited list. Now I'll talk about what I want to come back off the list and go back to 3. So I'll be honest, I'm very biased. I feel like this card of both these cards are very fair and reasonable, and it only played in one deck. There's only one deck that actually use these cards to their fullest potential, and that deck is Infernoid. And if you don't know, on this channel, I haven't made a video on it yet because I'm waiting for the best Infernoid build. But Infernoid is probably my top 10 favorite decks of all time. It is such a really interesting, cool archetype. And Konami, you better give us support in a new Fire set. I'm just saying. Or Fires, Fiends. Give us that support, damn it. But back to this video. How do you make Infernoid better again and make it actually a competent, actually meta-defying deck? Give us back Reasoning and give us back Monster Gate back to 3. Monster Gate was limited back to 1 due to the fact that there was an FTK going on with Earth Machine. It wasn't an Earth Machine. It was using the rank 10 train that just got released in like a structure deck or like a main set. And the idea was that there was a non-once return special summon on that card. So they kept spamming that thing onto the field, multiples of them, and playing Reasoning and Monster Gate in order to dump all these like really bad rituals and like level 10 monsters like in the mech lords into the graveyard so they can just spam out Gustav and burn your opponent for 8,000 because you like looped the guy 3 times or 4 times because it's 2,000 each. I say if you want to fix this issue, just limit the guy to 1 or ban him. I would say limit because I still like Earth Machines. I feel like that's still a time and around card. I don't want them to lose that. So put the card to 1 and give us back Reasoning and Monster Gate. And you're probably saying, oh no, all the graveyard decks would love Reasoning and Monster Gate. But would they though? Like, yes, I could see Reasoning being an issue in like, let's say, not really, I would say zombies, but no, because they're all levels. And you can special summon them. Reasoning is great in like Infernoid because they have, they can't be special summoned. They all have that clause. They have to be special summoned at their own effect. So they just keep getting milled, which is really, really amazing. And so you can mill your entire deck. That's the whole gimmick of Infernoid. But I guess like Eldritch might abuse it. Be like, oh, 60 card Eldritch. You just play a whole bunch of like spells and traps you want to dump in grave. And I guess that would be like toxic. But again, I'd rather deal with a 60 pile Eldritch deck than current Skill Drain beats Eldritch deck. Now, you probably say, oh, they'll still play Skill Drain, but hey, if they go by my list, Skill Drain's got to put the 1, so who cares? But back to what I was saying, I think Reasoning and Monster Gate can come back to 3. Monster Gate literally says tribute a monster and then mill until you hit another monster. The only deck that like benefits off this is literally this deck because you can keep milling monsters because they can't be special summoned. Like, there's no other deck that I can think of on the top of my head that's like, okay, let me tribute my own monster, and then I'll just mill until I get another monster. I can't think of one. Now, another FTK crawls around, and we say, hey, Monster Gate Reasoning, they need to be put back. This is a horrible mistake. It's just the grass looks green all over again. I would hope that we just hit the ban cards, the actual toxic cards, and not Reasoning and Monster Gate. I might be a little biased because these cards are broken in like a 60 card mill deck and like mill up to like 40 cards. But I just want these decks to be back again. I just want Infernoid to be good again. Let's just be honest here. I just want Infernoid Layer to be a really powerful deck again. It never had its little time in the sun. It's always been like a really strong rogue deck till like 2018, 2019. And then fell off the face of the earth. And then it hasn't seen play since. And I just want this deck to be good. So Konami, if you're not going to give us support in that new Fire set, damn it, put Reasoning back to 3. Give us back the damn fucking Monster Gates. And just limit frickin' the Gustav Max motherfucker that like burns for 2,000. And that's all I really got to say about the back to 3 cards. I know Yagaratsu can go back to 3. And there's like other like niche cards that can go back to 3 and who cares. Like I think Time Seal's still like a 2. Who cares about Time Seal? Things like that. But again, this is my opinion. If you really want me to know what my personal list is, bring back Monster Gate, bring back Reasoning. I want my Infernoid deck to mill. But that's really all I got to say about that. Hope you all enjoy, and see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.